Hey, nerds, and welcome to The Gutter. My name is Steve-O. I am the host of the Gutter Nerds podcast. Joining me today for a special streamer spotlight, a very awesome after-school special on this episode of Blossom. We have Twitch streamer Captain Sweatpants, and we're going to go to Cappy now. Feel free to toss in questions as you have them, and we will get to you when we can. So, Captain Sweatpants, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, of course, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. So
I feel like I should have a coffee cup or something. Because all the guests on talk shows always have like a cup on their table.
Yeah, that's actually up to me to provide you, and it's tough to do when you are so far away.
Right, you didn't send me the coffee cup.
I didn't. Actually, I had plenty of time to send you one. Shit. No, that's a good point. I was about to look around and be like, I don't see you have any Gutter Nerd stuff in the background, but I have properly been called out, so that's my responsibility. But thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to just talk about whatever and go through this, and anything that comes up in your mind and you want to have a deeper discussion on, Captain, by all means, chime in, let me know. Okay. So the first question actually sort of is Master Charles wanted to ask this question, but I think it's a good place to start. Are you wearing sweatpants right now? And I'm sorry that the first question out of the gate is, what are you wearing? But also, if you are not, why?
Well, you can rest easy because I am indeed wearing sweatpants right now.
Okay, what is your percentage of sweatpants wearing to not sweatpants wearing?
My percentage of sweatpants wearing to not is about 90 to 10.
Oh, that's fantastic.
All day and then just don't wear when I sleep.
Okay, so you're not like a poser here. Like you
you
really rock the sweatpants.
All the time.
Do you have a sweatpants collection? Is there a specific pair that you wear all the time, or do you rotate out and around?
No, I have sort of a rotation of sweatpants. I've had like a good collection of about 5 pairs of sweatpants that get cycled out throughout the week.
Okay, fantastic. That's great. Do you also do the pajama pants thing, or are we really focused on sweatpants here? Or is there a difference?
There's a difference, but I'm not entirely familiar with the concept of pajama pants.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's like very light. They're basically sweatpants light. I would say they're diet sweatpants.
Diet sweatpants. Gotcha.
Yeah. Is essentially what it is. They're a bit looser. They're not anywhere near as like warm. They're meant to be slept in. Anyway, I will now I know that I need to get you some Gutter Nerds pajama pants. That needs to be a thing. So let's talk about real stuff. When did you start streaming and why?
Well, let's see. I started on Twitch about 2-3 years ago. I started just basically on a whim. I was watching a streamer named What's Up Wasabi. She's pretty cool. And then
so you started as a viewer before you became a streamer?
I started as a viewer and then became a streamer the same day.
Actually. Oh wow!
Yeah, I was watching her and I was like, man, this is really cool. So I immediately Googled how does one stream?
So that's how you started streaming. And what's the why? Was there something specific that you were like that you wanted to do or accomplish, or did you just say that looks like fun and I want to do that too?
It was pretty much that looks like fun, I want to try it. So that day I got me and 2 of my friends. We all set up our laptops and streamed Starbound for about 18 hours nonstop.
So your first stream was an 18-hour Starbound stream?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, that's pretty impressive.
I just didn't have a concept of, all right, you start here, you end here. It was just, we're going to play games this long anyways. Why not let people watch?
How did you, like, what was the first stream like? Like, did people find you and go, holy crap, you're playing Starbound all day, and I'm here? Or was it, like, the traditional dead?
It was completely empty the entire time. I believe at one point we took to just us being in the chat, like me and my 2 friends were in the chat just sending emotes to ourselves.
Right, yeah. This got
was about as active as our chat got, yeah.
Right. That's fantastic. I love it. So you are a part of the Good Noodle Game community that a lot of us are also a part of. How did you find the G&G, and did someone promise you punch and pie when you got here? Because I don't know what kind of promises they made you, like when you came.
I ended up in Good Noodle Gang completely on accident, to be honest.
Really?
It was by coincidence. I followed Draconis Red for a long time before I joined the Good Noodle Gang. For like, he was maybe the second streamer I ever started watching on Twitch.
Wow.
So I've been following him for at least 2 years now. And then one day I just happened to pop into his stream while he wasn't there, and he was hosting Cali. And I was like, hey, this person's pretty cool. And then I hung out there and then followed her, came back the next stream, was like, I'm going to join this Good Noodle thing.
Yeah.
And that was it. The first thing I saw when I got here was Gracie stabbing Softy. And so that was my first exposure to the Good Noodle Gang.
Okay, so yeah, so you had kind of a rough entry.
It was not exactly what I was expecting, but
when you got there, were you like, oh, these people are fun, or were you like, what the fuck is going on?
A bit of both.
Okay, great.
A bit of both is what went through my head. It's like, well, this isn't what I was expecting, but I'm not going to leave.
No, Mark, I'm sorry, there is no punch and pie. I lied about the punch and pie. I did. Krog says this Good Noodle thing is, I think, everyone's first impression.
This Good Noodle thing.
Yeah. All right, let's go see what that's all about. So what's your channel about? Do you play specific games, specific types of games? Is there something that you... How would you describe your channel to someone?
Well, I describe it as being mostly we mostly do... I mostly do solo streams of just me doing game development stuff, making games in RPG Maker, writing not like code script, but like scripts for dialogue of games. And then every now and then, if I get like hooked on a specific game, we'll do a couple streams of whatever I'm into at that moment, and then go back to work because I can't play games all the time or I won't get any work done.
Right, of course. Killer Man, thank you for coming by. We totally appreciate it. Thanks for the hello. So you love to create games outside of streaming, and while you're streaming. Mm-hmm. When did that start? What do you remember? Like the first. How old were you when you decided you wanted to make games? Is that something that you went to school for, or something you just do in your free time?
That's something I really just do in my free time. I have had no formal training whatsoever, mm-hmm. and am in fact very unqualified to create content in any respect.
That's not true. That's not true at all.
But it's something I enjoy doing. So I do it a lot, and I learn to get better by doing it more. And actually, the people who come and watch have taught me more about my software than I have learned on my own. Really? Yeah. It's like, an important thing in developing is learning how, at least in the engine I use, is you learning how to use switches to make events turn on or off. Right. I had no idea how to use them until Krogs showed up and was like, oh, yeah, just do this. And I was like, oh, that opens up so many possibilities. And since then,
that's
stuff
so
has
cool.
gotten so much better.
So you use your streams like not only to just show what you're doing, but ultimately, I guess, to learn, because people can come in and go, oh, here's some more information. Exactly. That's really awesome. I really like that. And it's also in case people don't know what they're doing, they can show up and watch someone who knows slightly more what they're doing, how to learn the basics. That's really cool. What was the first RPG Maker that you played? Do you remember? Because the first RPG Maker that I remember them in the series was on like PS1 or something, right? Oh. Or was it on PC? Yeah. It might have been. I feel like it was PC. Okay. I feel like they wouldn't have been that smart. I feel like it would have had to have been, but I know there was one on either PS1 or PS2, because we bought it and we're like, oh yeah, we want to make 16-bit RPGs, like 100%. And then we got in there, and because we were using a controller, we were like, oh, there's no fucking way we're making a game on this. Right. it's not happening. Just the thought of trying to use a controller to make something in RPG Maker is making my hands cramp. Yeah. Right. So do you remember the first time? Did you ever complete a game? Like, have you completed any? Unfortunately, I have not. But it's because, really, before I started working on my current project, I really didn't know what I was doing. And so I'd have all of these ideas for stuff I wanted to do, but I just didn't know how to make them happen. Okay.
And so I'd get frustrated and then stop and leave for a while and come back and try again, but not really get anywhere. So now is really the first time I like hit my stride on a game and have really made it any significant distance into development.
Krogs fainted when you mentioned Krogs' name. So
Hi, Krogs.
good old Krogsy. Would you say that you're an RPG fan then, just in general? Because you mentioned MMOs pre-stream, and you talked about how much you love Final Fantasy XIV.
Mm-hmm. I definitely love RPGs. I think it's probably my favorite. Well, if not one of my favorite genres of games in general.
Do you prefer like the fantasy style RPG or more like fantasy versus sci-fi is, I guess, sort of the traditional question that one would ask, but is that something that you're invested in general?
I think it's something I'd say I'm invested in general to a degree. I'd say I lean more towards fantasy than sci-fi, but I'm not going to be one to turn down a good sci-fi RPG.
Sure. Yeah, I'm flipped exactly the opposite. You know, when Mass Effect comes out, I'm super excited, but I will still buy and love like Dragon Age.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
For example, do you have a favorite RPG that's not Final Fantasy XIV?
Yes.
What's your favorite RPG?
Persona 5.
Persona 5. Why?
It's a feeling I get when I get into a good game is like I've been playing it for a while and then realize, oh no, this is going to end. And then I don't know what to do when that moment comes.
You dread the end of the game.
Yes. Those are the kinds of games I look for. And so Persona 5 gave me that maybe 10 minutes in. I was like immediately invested in everything that was happening.
That's so weird. So this is, I think, and this will probably speak to why I don't really play MMOs much, is that I sort of tie I love finishing games, right?
Right.
So in an MMO, you don't really ever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I never get that, like, I did it, like, kind of feeling, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm trying to remember, because most of the time I'm looking forward to the ending of a game. Not because I necessarily want it to be done, but that's sort of like the reason why I'm playing it.
Right.
So when you realize that you're like super into a game like Persona 5, do you, I guess, maybe not artificially, but do you do what you can to extend your time with it?
Sometimes I'll like artificially try and extend my time, like maybe I will just play it for a little bit today, but then I'll sit down at noon and then it'll be 1 a.m. just like, yeah.
Oh no. I got through so many chapters. What have I done?
What have I done? The good thing though with all the Persona games are infamous for being extremely long. So like that play session of noon to 1 is like the tutorial. So you've still got plenty more to go. Right.
And the one of the great things about Twitch, though, is that even when you are done with a game, you can go join someone else's journey and sort of live it again through their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really cool. That's actually part of like, I tend to wait like a few months after a game has come out before I play it, because I figure like I'll let people play it first, and then when they're done, presumably when people will have finished the game, they'll be more invested in like my version of their journey.
Right.
And I think that's really cool. Chai says, it feels like a friend moving away when a good long RPG ends.
Yes, that's exactly what it feels like.
Have you done any tabletop RPGing?
I have not, but I've always wanted to. I've never had a group to sit down and do it with, but I've always wanted to like get real into that.
Is there what character would you make right now if you were going to slap together a Captain Sweatpants tabletop RPG character? What would be their class, their general alignment? Like, what would you do just in the moment? It's the first thing that comes to mind.
All right, he'd be a monk.
Okay.
Who's a drunken master.
Yeah.
And is the captain of the worst boat ever.
I'm in. I'd watch that show.
Yeah. Right?
I'd watch that TV show. You're basically like a Zen Russell Crowe.
awesome. That's what I aim to be.
Sharks has been playing D&D for the same campaign for nearly 3 years. And see, this is sort of like, it's interesting hearing about you guys really enjoying these long RPGs or the MMORPGs or the long campaigns. That sounds like fucking hell to me. If someone invites me to a tabletop like RPG, I'm like, yes, you have 4 sessions with me. So you either tell me that story in 4 sessions or you find an arc where I can die.
Right.
Because I'm just like, I get ready to move on to the next thing. Mm-hmm. Do you have any streaming? This is sort of a pretentious question, but I like asking it. Do you have a streaming philosophy or maybe a streaming goal? Like, do you have some either like a numbers goal you want to hit or like a certain kind of channel or community that you want to build? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I don't really have I wouldn't say I have a numbers goal necessarily. I'm trying to find a way to say this. It doesn't sound really like I'm trying to put people down. Because
no.
If you stream to want to get all the viewers, go for it, you know?
Yeah.
But I stream to just play games and meet other people that like games.
Right.
And like making games and like just like being around other people that are game enthusiasts. I stream to give people a place to just come and talk about whatever thing they want to talk about and try and provide that environment.
And I think that's a fantastic philosophy. And also that pairs really well with your game creation stream. So if you're creating a game, you're involving your viewers in your community, and you're able to talk about game mechanics or game philosophy as you go through it. And I think that's a really cool thing. Like, even I was watching, I would say similar vein, but a different branch. I was watching some Mario Maker streams earlier.
Yeah.
And getting like the why you're putting what where, and also you get a sense of like someone's gaming history, like when they're talking about it.
Yeah.
So like, if someone's very action oriented, they make like an action heavy game. If someone's, story related. And since you write scripts, I'm going to guess you are a story driven RPG gamer?
I enjoy a good story. I feel like a lot of RPGs get swept under the rug because a lot of RPGs with good mechanics get shoved under the rug because they don't have a good story to them. So my goal is to come up with a central idea for a story, and then have like a basis of 3 or 4 mechanics that I can expand on as I go. So that gives depth to both combat and story without making either one feel boring.
And it's obviously both of those things are important, but if just for you personally, what is more important to you in an RPG? Like an intriguing story or a fun combat system? If you had to go one direction, which would you put your either your effort into, or if you're reading the back of a game or watching a video on a game, which one's going to pull you to it?
I think I'd have to say in that case a good story.
Okay.
Because I'll sit through a mash A for 10 hours gameplay if the story has really got me.
Yeah. Okay. And do you have in terms of RPGs like either real time or turn based? Like, is there one that, or does it just depend on the title?
It pretty much actually just depends on whatever I happen to pick up.
Yeah.
Because I've played both real time and turn based, and both are fun. Real time is a lot more stressful.
Sure.
It's like, I gotta attack, but they're hitting me. I gotta stop, heal, guard, fire, everything. Right. But it's definitely a good time. Like, I'll walk out of every battle like I feel like I just conquered a war.
Right. Did you ever play Final Fantasy 15?
I did not. I never played 15.
That was sort of one of those where like the story was fine, and I'm normally with you my favorite Final Fantasy is Final Fantasy X because I love that story specifically. The combat system could be whatever it wants to be. I loved the journey of that specific story. In 15, it just sort of hit me in the other direction where I was like, I love getting into fights in this game. and I don't really care what else is going on. But that was just sort of an outlier for me. What to you is the best thing about Twitch and the worst thing about Twitch in general, either as a viewer or as a streamer, however you want to answer that.
Right. I'm going to try and say this in a way that won't make Twitch retroactively mad at me.
They're fine. They're rolling in Jeff Bezos money. They're fine.
I think I could say the same thing about Twitch and YouTube. I love the communities that come from both, but I think my least, the thing I'd say is the worst about them is, them as a platform.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think Twitch has necessarily maintained the best it can be.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not saying I am the person that they should call on to fix that, because
sure.
I have no idea what to do, but...
That was going to be my next question. What would you change about it?
Dude, it beats me.
I don't know.
There's just a lot of stuff that I feel like could be changed to make streamers' lives easier.
So the streamer's life's easier.
Mm-hmm.
As a viewer, do you feel pretty fulfilled as a viewer, but as a streamer, you sort of wish you had more tools?
I feel like there's also some issues with the viewers, not with the viewers, not
with
the viewers.
With
don't
being
have
a viewer,
with
right.
being a viewer is what I was going for.
Yeah.
But it's really such small stuff that it's something you could kind of just sort of brush aside.
Yeah.
Until you fix some of the bigger stuff.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I think that makes perfect sense.
Actually, I want to change my entire answer. Mobile Twitch is the biggest problem.
Mobile Twitch needs a goddamn overhaul. Is what it needs.
It needs to just die, and then they bring in a new one. This never happened. We're just gonna forget it happened.
They need a Final Fantasy XIV reboot.
Right.
Mobile
Twitch.
Twitch.
Drop a giant meteor on it, and then bring in a new one.
Which to be fair to Mobile Twitch, it's improved since the beginning, but it's just not reaching that level of reboot to where everything's okay now, right? Yeah. It's okay, this is a little bit better, but it's still very cumbersome. Mm-hmm. So a couple questions. Chai says, what about types of story character driven, like character arcs and growth, or setting driven? So do you like world building or character development in your RPG?
That's a good question. I do enjoy both. I think I get personally more invested in games that have a silent protagonist with a very intriguing world. Because then it really puts you, it really enables you to put yourself in the place of that character and experience the detailed environment to its fullest. But on the other side of that, a good character-driven RPG can also be very good. So I'm not putting that down.
Yeah, the silent protagonist usually drives me up a wall. I hate it.
It's a trope that has been driven into the ground.
But there's a way to do it, right? So
yes, there's definitely a way to have it happen.
If you want a silent protagonist, so let's just use Legend of Zelda as a couple of case examples here, right? I know Legend of Zelda has maybe some RPG elements to it, but is really more of an adventure game than anything. But still, so something like Ocarina of Time or Twilight Princess or Skyward Sword. Silent protagonist, this is my opinion, doesn't work. You have too many characters that are talking to Link and getting reactions from him. And to me, I'm like, just fucking say something, man.
Say anything.
If the goal of the silent protagonist, like you said, is to pour yourself into that character, then something like Breath of the Wild actually works extremely well because you're spending your time exploring and fighting and, feeling out this world, and you're not in conversations with people all the time, conspicuously not reacting to them.
Right. Or something like the classic example is like Pokemon, where you can spend your time doing whatever it is you want to do, and it doesn't really matter whether you're the player character says anything or not, because it's supposed to be your adventure, not Link's adventure.
Right, exactly. And up until Breath of the Wild, I was like, just give him a voice because it's not us anymore. Link is such a character in the Nintendo universe.
Exactly.
Just let him talk. Let me hear him talk. But then Breath of the
Say
Wild,
a word.
Breath of the Wild came around, and I was like, oh wait, no, hold up. Okay, you know what you're doing. Okay, you're fine. So outside of gaming and streaming, what hobbies and activities do you as a person on this earth enjoy?
Well, I very much enjoy writing.
You mentioned scripts.
Yes.
What do you write? Like short films or comics or anything outside of game stuff?
Well, I do. Nothing that anyone could have read, but I do really enjoy writing. Not necessarily short stories, but shorter than a book stories is what I call them.
Yeah.
I'll have an idea like, oh, this would be cool if this and this and this, and I'll just sort of make a story out of it. So that's just a hobby of mine that I'll sit down and do for a couple hours a day.
That's awesome. Have you thought about trying to do something with them, like try to film them, or find an artist to illustrate these stories, or do you funnel them a lot into? I imagine you funnel some of them into RPG Maker.
Yes, some of them do go into RPG Maker. I've wanted. Honestly, this is gonna be a little bit of a just sort of like saying words that I have had in my head for a long time. I have wanted so long to get something I've written illustrated.
Really?
But yeah, for years and years. But from the moment I've tried to find someone to do it, I've encountered difficulties with, I'm not able to, and this is not, if anyone has tried to work with people, I'm not slamming on them. This is stuff that I can't get past that's inhibiting me from working with you. Is I can't really afford to pay very well.
Sure.
And people I work with who are like, we'll just do it. We don't need to, we'll both benefit out of this from something, have either just disappeared off the map and I never hear from them again, or we're just both too busy to get it done. So just stuff has kept getting in the way of that happening.
People have the best intentions and they want to help you out.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's
and then life happens.
Mm-hmm. Stuff just happens and no one can do anything about it.
Hey Poogie, what's up? How's it going?
Hey Poog.
So I have self-published a graphic novel before. I had these basically flash fictions, these short stories. And at the time, so before we became Gutter Nerds, we had a different name, and we streamed the podcast on that channel, but we also had a webcomic. And I don't know if you guys have been in any of my game streams, but those webcomics show up on our BRB screen now, so they're not completely dead. But that illustrator, his name was Joseph, and I worked with several illustrators, but Joseph and I did the graphic novel, and so we did a Kickstarter. And so it maybe doing some sort of GoFundMe to be able to do that, because not only that, but I don't know how you are with your script, but working with an illustrator as a writer is super weird, because they will interpret your words in a way that you were like, that's not at all what I was picturing in my head.
Right.
And sometimes it's great and you're like, oh, that is so much, that's way better than what I thought. And sometimes you're like, how did you get that?
That's not what I said.
Right. I don't think that's what I said.
Wait, did I say that?
Yeah, so there is a certain amount of letting go. And so this is just I do urge you to keep trying it in whatever method you can, because seeing your scripts come to life is really cool. But it is weird seeing someone else interpret your words.
Yeah. For sure, which is why I've always wished I could draw, but that vein just sort of died out. Right. We just never went back to it.
So, and I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but Chai, you should illustrate a graphic novel. I'm not saying you have to do it with Captain Sweatpants, but both of you should do those things. Captain Sweatpants, I would love to see a collection of stories in it, like anthology or something from you, and Chai, I would like to see your art in printed form.
Just a word to Chai is also his. I feel like his art style would work very well for a graphic novel.
Oh, 100%, yeah, 100%. Hey, Potpourri, welcome. You guys have any other questions for Captain Sweatpants? Feel free to put them in the chat.
All my questions.
I do have. Let's go to a couple from social media before I get back into mine. Actually, before I do that, I'll continue the question. Was other outside hobbies? You mentioned writing, and you do that like every day, right? So, is there anything else that you like or find yourself good at? Are can you play the trumpet? Good poker player? Pets.
That's not a hobby.
Pets are a hobby.
Well, I mean, I do have a couple pets. I have my dog Carter. He's a golden retriever lab mix, and he's adorable.
Awesome.
And then I have a leopard gecko who's over there. He sleeps 100% of the time because he is an old man.
Just lounging about under the heat lamp.
Not even. Not even somewhere I get to see him. He's just in a whole, in this whole rock cave where you never see him.
I have a rock.
Yeah.
That's filled with lizard.
Yeah. Essentially, that's what I have.
Okay.
I have a rock that is filled with lizard.
That's fantastic. Why did you name Carter Carter?
Actually, he wasn't originally my dog. He was my older sister's dog. And she ended up moving a lot and couldn't, didn't want to end up. She left him here for one move from, I think it was in Tennessee. It was, I want to say it was Kentucky to Ohio was where she was moving.
Interesting.
And she just left him here so she didn't have to haul him back and forth.
Right. Yeah.
And then we just ended up keeping him.
Oh, that's awesome.
So she was the one that gave him the name.
Shit. Is he named after President Jimmy Carter? I'm just trying to...
No, I believe he's actually named after football player Chris Carter.
Oh, okay. Interesting. There you go. So Crocs has a question for you, Sweatpants. Chunky or smooth peanut butter, I need to know.
Well, if pressed, I'd probably have to say smooth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're not evil, so that would be why.
I'm not insane.
I wouldn't turn down a chunky peanut butter sandwich, but
if
given the option,
I wouldn't turn it down so long as you didn't tell me it was chunky before I ate it.
Let's see. Oh, Raven one says, when you play the game of pets, you win or they die. Yeah. That's it. It's a hobby.
Messed up, but that's super great.
I promise. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so from social media, Naujsama asks, do you pour milk first and then the cereal later, or the other way around?
No, I'm not. What?
That's psychotic, right?
You pour the cereal first and
that's
you put
psychotic,
the milk on
actually.
top of it.
If you guys are ever hanging out with someone and they pour their milk in the bowl first, you run.
Yeah, you leave immediately. Do not look back. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go immediately home and lock yourself in your room because there's a serial killer coming to find you.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
After they kill their cereal, they will kill you.
Then you will be next in the series as well.
Right.
So this question is from Trexus. Why Sweatpants? Captain Windbreaker is a little more menacing, maybe even Captain Ski Pants. I don't know, but I need to know. Another way to ask this would be, how did you choose your name?
Right. Let's see. How did I choose my name? There was a reason. Question is, can I remember what it was? I am now kind of regretting not calling myself Captain Ski Pants, because that's a pretty decent name. But honestly, I think if I'm remembering this correctly, there was a character on a sitcom called Big Bang Theory, if you've never seen it or heard of it, who, it was just a passing joke at this dude in a comic book shop who was in a Captain America shirt wearing sweatpants, and I was just Captain Sweatpants, and I started using that as a name.
That's awesome.
And I think that's the entire story of where it came from.
That's really cool. That's a good, little inside baseball story.
Yeah.
Pool asks, are the people that pour the milk first the same that like crunchy peanut butter? So I can accept a crunchy peanut butter eater as a human being.
Yeah. See, there's a difference.
But I don't think...
It's a moral difference.
Yeah, it's not a political discussion. This is a moral discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Peanut butter is a political discussion. The cereal thing is do we allow you to continue to taint this earth?
Yeah. or do we feed you to the Sarlacc? That's the question we conquer here.
Next, sort of name related. This is a question from HR Parkers, who is a country girl on Twitch. She says, as a captain, how many do you oversee in your Sweatpants crew? She has a few questions. I'll start with that. You oversee everyone in your Sweatpants crew. Do you have a fleet?
I do have a fleet. They're currently all missing.
God damn it, Captain.
I left them somewhere, and then I never went back.
I'm imagining like an episode of Star Trek where like you come back on the ship and they're like, Captain, where's the fleet? And you're like, I don't fucking know. They were there, then they weren't.
It's pretty much what happened. I found a rock, and that's all we have. So it's a cool looking rock.
So what are the joining qualifications to join your fleet?
Joining qualifications are you gotta be a chill human being, and pour your cereal first, milk second, smooth peanut butter.
That's right.
And just generally be a cool person. If you are a nice person, you have a place in our.
That's awesome.
And also sweatpants. You must own at least one pair of sweatpants.
Okay, so yeah, that actually gets to her next question. She says, "Are pantsless people eligible?"
Yes, so long as you wear the sweatpants around your neck.
Okay, that's perfect. Yeah. No, that's a great. Yeah, totally fine. Raven One says, "If you have a fleet, wouldn't that make you Admiral Sweatpants?"
Yeah, common confusion actually. Admiral Sweatpants is my brother. I'm Captain Sweatpants. It is the rank so great I had to invent it myself. I just kept digging a hole, and eventually I ended up where we are now.
You're just like, I gotta be where the action is. You bust me down to Captain, goddammit. Mirrors all up my ass.
Exactly. That's how it goes.
Here's a question from Soft Shock. Soft Shock asks, how'd you get so goddamn sexy?
I didn't. You're looking at the wrong person.
Captain, jeez, come on. Give Softy some love. Don't brush off his love so cavalier-like.
No.
His beanie contains his whole heart.
It's okay. Softy knows I like to shoot him down constantly.
That's fantastic. So the last social media question comes from Master Charles.
MC.
GNRPG when?
You'll find out.
That's a pressure question, isn't it?
It is a pressure question.
So what does he mean by GNRPG, by the way? Tell people who are not familiar.
Okay. GNRPG is the current project I'm working on right now. It's an RPG themed, not necessarily themed, but starring our some beloved members of our community over at Good Noodle Gang.
How long have you been working on it? It's
been a good few months now, at least 5 months in development. Recently had to do a reset on the project. Had sort of too many ideas all trying to go into one thing, and it was turning everything into an ungodly mess.
Right.
So we did a reset, and stuff's been going smoothly since then. Mostly aside from my entire staff disappearing.
Right.
Besides that, stuff's been going great.
So progress is being made on GNG RPG?
Yes.
Okay.
Progress is being made. Slowly, but sure.
I don't know if this is standard game development or not, but the way that you described sort of what happened there reminds me more of like a writer's mentality, which is you started your first draft and went, I see all of these things now that are either working with each other or competing with each other. So let's go to draft 2.
That is essentially what happened. And it also happened mostly because when like what I talked about earlier, I've been pretty much learning stuff about RPG Maker as I've been using it.
Okay.
So the project started when I had practically no experience. And so everything that was at the beginning of the game was very sloppy and poorly made. And then stuff that was getting on in the game was too complicated and not programmed well enough to really justify being there.
Yeah.
And so there were kind of just too many ideas in one space for everything to work. And so I thought, all right, let's take the information that I know now and then start from there and pick like 2 or 3 ideas I want to run with and expand on those instead of throw everything into one pot and try and stick it together.
Right. So you had, I know you had like viewers helping and stuff like that, but did you have literal personnel like also working on this game, or is it primarily you?
Well, I'm the only person who has worked on, like physically worked on the game, like sat down and not coded, because that's not how RPG Maker works.
Right.
But like designed it, like I've been the one developing.
You've operated the game. Yeah.
Yes. But I did have a good friend of mine who's a very talented musician composing the soundtrack, because I couldn't do everything at the same time.
Right.
And I also had another person who was doing all the art, but as we discussed earlier, I have a hard time holding on to artists. So that just sort of fell through. But yeah, I did.
Okay. So it is coming when it is coming.
Right.
Is the answer to the question.
Is the answer to that question. It gets here when it gets here.
So one of the things that you worked on for the G&G also that was part of the awards show last month was Noodle Rewind 2018.
Right.
And that video was slam fucking bang, by the way. Like, you should be proud as shit of Noodle Rewind. Tell me about...
You want to know a secret about that?
What?
Is I actually still keep the file on my desktop, just because sometimes I like to go and watch it and be like, yeah.
I'm going to tell you, I saved the file that you sent me to air in my folder. Like, it's still there as well. How did wanting to create that come about? Whose idea was it? Like, what happened? How did that come to be?
Shoot, I don't know. I don't know whose idea it was at first. I don't know if it was something I saw in chat.
Were they talking about YouTube Rewind?
They might have been. I don't remember where I would have seen it. I don't remember whose stream I was watching if I had seen it in chat. But it would have been someone from Noodle Gang talking about YouTube Rewind, and then someone else would have said, I wish there was a Noodle Rewind, and then that idea started.
Okay. And so you went, I can do that.
Yes. For some reason I was like, hey, I can do that. And then we went from there. We started gathering clips, and I stuck them together, added some silly sound effects.
How long did that take? Like, if you were going to estimate in hours wise, was this something that sort of came, like, does video editing just come natural for you so you can sort of go in and just like clank it out, or what was that like?
I think I could have done it in a day if it hadn't been for more clips like constantly coming in from people, which
right.
is not a bad thing. That is exactly what we wanted, was a bunch of people sending in a bunch of clips that they really liked. But if I like had all of them from the beginning, I probably could have done it in about 20 to 26 hours. The real time killer was I edit it in 2 programs. I use a real simple video editor for the first draft, because it's just easy to throw ideas in, stick them together, and see what things work and what things don't. Sort of as a first draft, and then I move everything over to Adobe and put it there, polish it up, and make it look nice. So that's really the time killer, is doing that. But it's not something that necessarily comes naturally. It's just I spent a lot of time watching very highly edited videos.
Yeah.
On YouTube or whatever, so I see things that people do, like audio cues at certain points, good places to use a specific joke or whatever.
Yeah.
So then I just try it again and see how it works.
The B Grip, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate that. Welcome to the gutter. This is Captain Sweatpants, everybody.
Hi.
For the record, if you joined us late, this is our interview with streamer Captain Sweatpants, who we are grilling the shit out of. What was the thing making the video? What was the there's always a moment where you're like, fuck, this is hard, or well, how the fuck am I gonna fix that? So
Yeah.
what was the thing about that video that was like the trial to overcome?
The trial to overcome.
I remember you sending me at one point you get like one of the early drafts of it, and the thing that I was like, I don't know if you're going to be able to do this, and you managed to do it. Every clip, everybody that streams has their mic set at a different level. There's the game sound to contend with, and I was like, I don't know if you can. I don't know how big a chore it's going to be to equalize this. And you said at the time, you're like, I don't know if I can. I'll give it a shot. So I don't know if that could have been it, because when you made it, when you finished it, it was gorgeous.
Right. And that was something that happened because, like I told you, for the first draft, I threw everything into a real simple editor that didn't have a lot of tools I could work with. So stuff just sort of came out however it went in, which led to a lot of that weird audio stuff where, like, the game volume would be super high, and then there'd be a really loud sound effect, and
right?
Someone's voice would be super quiet. But I was able to just sort of level everything off with a real simple command once I moved everything over to a better program, and just sort of equalize the whole thing to one level, and then mess around with it from there to sort of fine tune.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, cool. Shark says I really need to see this. Where can people see Noodle Rewind now?
Let's see. I don't think it's anywhere publicly other than in Good Noodle Gang. It's. I
think that
know.
If you go to, I know that you could see it as part of the first annual Good Noodle Awards show, and so that is available publicly on the Gutter Nerds YouTube. But I don't want to send people to the Gutter Nerds YouTube if I should be sending them to your YouTube channel.
Oh, no, don't send people there, please. Please, anything but that.
Okay. If you go to the Gutter Nerds YouTube channel, find the Good Noodle Gang Awards, and then it's about 40 minutes in is the video. 40, 45 minutes, somewhere around there.
Or, if you'd like, you could come and join the Good Noodle Gang.
Or join the Good Noodle Gang Discord. You could do that by clicking the Discord panel down below and be real sweet and check it out there. I'm sure it's in there somewhere.
It is pinned in the I believe Clip Noodles is
the Clippy, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we've talked about Noodle Rewind, we've talked about games a bit. A couple more questions, and then we're going to go to what I call the lightning round, where I'm just going to sort of throw some questions at you and answer as fast as you can.
Cool.
You can take as long as you want to answer, but try not to think about your answer.
Gotcha.
So, but first, you have an upcoming trip can I ask you about that?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Where are you going and why?
I'm going to Iidabashi in Japan.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
When is this? Later this month?
It is, yes. I leave 27th of March, this March.
Okay.
And then I land on the 28th, which is a real weird feeling.
How are you going to be there? Or how long are you going to be there?
I'll be there until late June, so about 3 months.
3 months of living in Japan. Is this is this for school? Is this just for fun, or what's the? A
bit of both, actually.
Yep.
I'm going there to do it. The official reason is I'm doing a study abroad, which I am doing. Going to language academy.
Let's be clear. I'm studying while I'm out there.
Yes, I am doing that. I'm going to, for the first 2 months, I'm going to a language academy to study Japanese. I've been studying Japanese for about 4 years now. And so now I'm just going to throw myself into it and try and expedite the process of learning.
Have you spent time learning Japanese prior to your trip, or are you going to be starting from word one, like when you get there?
Oh no, I've been studying for 4 years.
Okay, cool.
So, and I've been to Japan just one other time, about 2 years ago.
Oh, awesome.
For a couple weeks, but yeah, that was a great trip. And so I'm really looking forward to going back. But then the last month I'm spending just traveling around with a friend of mine.
Oh, that's going to be a blast.
Seeing the sights, yeah.
That's going to be a whole lot of fun. Well, we're going to miss you while you're gone. Are you going to be doing any streaming while you're out there, or are you going to be focused?
Pretty much I'll be completely off the radar the whole time I'm there.
Damn. Okay, well, I'm glad we caught you before you left.
Yeah.
Damn, that's going to be a big trip, but it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Do you have any advice for people thinking about getting into streaming or thinking about getting into RPG Maker? Like if they're going to, like I've been considering doing one of these things, if you were going to give them like some words of advice to get them into it, what would you say?
Well, someone came to me and asked for advice on doing Twitch. I'd probably say I'm not the greatest person to ask, because I learned a lot of what I know from other people, like I talked about earlier, Draconis Red and Callie. But people looking to get into stream shouldn't. I don't think it's a great mentality to go in thinking you are going to be massively successful right off the bat, because that will lead to a lot of disappointment. You should, like, when you start up your first stream, the very first thing you should expect is OBS to immediately crash.
It's not going to work.
No, nothing will work the way you want it to. Stuff isn't going to be, polished the first time you try it. Take some time and learn it, and then stuff will look great.
I've been using OBS for many years now, and today I was like, OBS, I would like you to reference Discord, please. Bring in the video of Captain Sweatpants that I can utilize. And it went, no.
No, actually.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, there have been so many times I've started up OBS, and like the night before I had just been streaming a game and I hadn't changed anything, and I'll be like, hey, OBS, can you pull up this game, please? It's just like, no.
But I'm tired.
I am tired. I don't want to.
Exactly. So, okay, here's some lightning round questions before we wind down for the evening. Tacos or burritos?
Burritos.
Okay, why?
I love burritos. I was eating a burrito before we started today.
Where's your favorite burrito place nearby?
Favorite burrito place is a local diner called Taco Diner. They make great burritos.
Fantastic.
Burritos.
What's your favorite candy?
Favorite candy is Mike and X.
That's a good answer. That's a real good. When you go to the movie, is it candy or popcorn?
Candy, for sure.
Okay, cool. I already asked you about your pets. What's a place in the world that you'd love to visit aside from Japan, which you're going to be going to?
Aside from Japan, Australia.
Australia. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Why Australia?
I've just heard there's some pretty cool, not only things in Australia, but some cool places to go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've always wanted to go to Australia myself, because I want to see a tarantula the size of a Volkswagen.
Right. That's exactly it.
And I know that I would want to die, but I very much do want to see it.
I like to have the possibility of near death at any moment.
What's your favorite game or series that's not an RPG?
Favorite game or series that's not an RPG? Kirby.
Kirby's good.
Kirby's good. I couldn't think of one, so I just looked down at the shelf of games I have right here. I was like, I see 2 Kirby games. I guess Kirby is it.
Someone help me. What was the first video game that you ever played? Do you remember?
Video game I ever played was Super Mario Brothers 3 on the Game Boy Advance.
On Game Boy Advance? Mm-hmm. That's really cool. Yeah. I think mine was Super Mario Brothers on the NES. But that's cool that it was still like a Super Mario Brothers game just like a few generations later.
Yeah, I still I have the Game Boy, but I'm so mad at myself to this day because I lost Super Mario 3, like the card I had since I was a kid, at a Buffalo Wild Wings on my way from a trip.
God damn you, Buffalo Wild Wings.
I went in and set the thing down in my coat pocket and got up and it fell out, I guess. And then we called there and like, we can't find it. And meanwhile, Derek is in the back room admiring all his new games.
You lost your whole system? Like,
no, I didn't lose the Game Boy, but I lost a lot of my favorite games.
you lost a bunch of carts.
Yeah, I lost like maybe upwards of 20 games.
Oh, that's such a bummer.
It was rough.
Oh, that's a bummer. Raven1 says, yeah, Steve-O, you are old. Yeah, that's right. I know, guys. Okay, Captain, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and letting us get to know you. So I guess there's not going to be any streams while you're gone, so when you come back, people you're expecting to stream when you come back?
Yes. Things will be getting a lot more regular once I get back.
Okay.
Until I leave, there's the possibility of sporadic streams here and there, but once I get back, stuff will be on a regular schedule.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to the streams. I love sitting there and watching you create in RPG Maker. Chai mentioned earlier the creation streams are super awesome to watch. I totally agree.
Well, thank you.
And really looking forward to the game when it comes out as well.
Thank you again.
Absolutely. Everybody,
because you are also in the game.
Oh, well, thank you. Am I literally in the... Oh, that's right. Yeah, you sent me the sprites.
I spent like... Okay, little story. I'm not going to take too long on this, but story is I spent so long trying to fix your hair to make it look better. Because I picked a color, I was like, this isn't quite right. This is as close as I can get, and I sent it to you, and you're like, yeah, the hair isn't quite the right color. I'm like, I know! And so I went back, and I just sat there trying to fix it.
That's my thing. Look, that's my diva moment, okay? It's like, look, whatever you do, just get the hair right, all right? No, the first time I joined your stream, one of the first times I joined your stream, you're like, hey, how can I include some more, Noodle stuff, like in the game, even if they're not characters? Right. And one of the first things that I said was you could have like the gutter lid as like a shield.
Yeah.
And just being a part of the process is super awesome. So you guys that are here, I'm showing you right now the link. This is the spelling. This is the correct spelling. Get off his ass about it.
It's the correct spelling, even though it's the not correct spelling.
Right. Go follow Captain Sweatpants right now. I know someone here is not following Captain Sweatpants, and I need you to go follow Captain Sweatpants. The streams are gonna be great. The game's coming out, and when he gets back from Japan, there will be a lot more. So I thank you so much, Captain Sweatpants, for coming by.
Thanks so much for having me.
I will see you later, and I'll let you go, and then say goodbye to everybody else here.
All right.
Have a good one, pal.
You too.